Hey, Matt Lairden again, Market Mindset Podcast. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch and enjoy and hopefully learn some things here. It's a true blessing for me to have this podcast because I get to talk to interact with a wide variety of highly intelligent, motivated real estate professionals from all over the United States. And today's no different. Today we have Jeremy Beland. He is from Windham, New Hampshire. He and his wife have done over 450 off-market real estate transactions. He's got his thumb on the pulse of real estate, especially in the Northeast. Sticks to what he knows in local areas there. He also has what's called the Real Estate REI Freedom Podcast. Highly encourage you to watch and enjoy and learn from that. He and his wife are great hosts there. Phenomenal social media presence. Again, I learned a lot from him. High energy, very professional, and we will definitely be circling back with Jeremy and his wife to see how they're doing in a couple months from now. He's really focused right now on helping others enjoy and learn the process and also have the same success and financial freedom that real estate provides. So again, welcome. I hope you enjoy Jeremy Beland. Hey, again, welcome back to the Market Mindset Podcast. I've been waiting to get this guy, on the podcast. He's been kind enough to share some time. We got Jeremy Beland. He's with NH Homebuyers out of New Hampshire. He's the host. He and his beautiful wife are hosts of the very popular REI Freedom Podcast. He's got a huge social media following. I hope he shares some of that with us. He's about educating investors. He's also a real estate investor coach. So it's just a great honor, privilege to have you. And before I say anything, you spent 6 years with the Air Force. I just want to say thank you for your service. It's people like you that allow us to do what we do out here. So thank you very much for your service. Jeremy, talk to me. I mean, I don't know where to start, but I'm just going to press record and let you go.
Let's go. All right. I love it. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do
Matt,
this.
first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. Obviously, it's a great privilege and honor to be here today. I appreciate you recognizing the Air Force. That was a great time in my life after a very dark journey in my life. So if it wasn't for the Air Force, I definitely would not be probably who I am or where I am today. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff going on. I am a coach in real estate. I'm also an active real estate investor. We're doing burrs, we're doing flips, we're doing wholesales, we're doing wholesales, we're doing all that. Basically, my business and what I coach in real estate, we're all about the off-market acquisitions, right? So we're, trying to find people that need to sell properties at a discount and all the things that go into that aspect, whether it's marketing, more or less the high-level sales coaching and training that goes into that to get really good at talking to sellers in person and on over the phone, buying those deals, and then maximizing the revenue on the back end of those contracts, not just as wholesalers, but other ways as well.
Yeah, I love that. So two things I want to go into. One, going back and explain the whole BRRRR investing style, but then also, I'm a real estate guy, I'm a licensed agent, but there's such a market for buying off market properties because what a lot of agents, and I'm all about working with wholesalers and sub-twos and everything but one thing I noticed is that a lot of people don't want to have an open house. They don't want to get everything fixed up necessarily. It's personal for whatever reason. And you really provide a valuable service. And Elon Musk said, I think our compensation is directly proportional to the difficulty of the problems we solve. And so there is a market. And there's a thing called the red car theory, right? And if you walk into your boss's office and, that's your wife, obviously, Shelly, right? But but if she asks you how many red cars did you see on the way to the office today, you say, oh, maybe 2 or 3. But if she tells you, hey, tomorrow on the way into the office, husband, I want you to tell me how many red cars you saw, you're going to be looking for those cars. You'll probably see 9 or 10. And so for me, as I get more into your business and learning more about it, all of a sudden I'm driving around these neighborhoods and I'm seeing so many opportunities of people that probably just want to sell, get out, and move on. And so you do provide a very, very valuable service. So one, let's talk about the BRRRR method and how you use that in your business. Also the sub-twos, if you don't mind sharing with our audience.
Yeah, I don't do a ton of sub-twos. It's just another tool in our tool belt. But a sub-two for your listeners is basically you may find somebody who's in distress that may not have a lot of equity in their home. And what can happen is an investor like myself, we can actually take over their property subject to their existing mortgage. Basically, they sign the deed over into our name. We keep the existing mortgage in their name, and we just keep making payments on that. A lot of times you have to bring some money to the table to bring them current and then keep it going. And then we can then turn that into an investment property, whether we want to maybe spend some more money and fix and flip it. Typically that doesn't happen when there's not a lot of equity. But depending on what type of market you're in, if you have a cost of say $2,000 a month on your PITI, which is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, you may be able to get a tenant in there for like 2,500, who's kind of doing like a rent to own kind of thing, and you can make a few $100 a month cash flowing. That's a good business model. Again, it's not primarily what we do. It's definitely a tool in our tool belt.
Okay.
There are situations that come along with that. The BRRRRs, there's a lot of R's in there, like you mentioned. It's buy, renovate, or rehab, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And basically what that means, and we do a lot of this in my business, is we go and find these distressed single family or multifamily properties, and we get them 50 cents on the dollar typically, right? Because, not only is the property distressed, but typically the people selling the property are distressed. And we can talk a little bit more about that, but we're providing a lot of value to help these people out. We're a professional problem solvers. That is our service in this industry, coming up with creative solutions that are specifically designed for that specific seller in exchange for equity in their home, which of them we know how to turn into revenue. So we'll take that property under contract for 50 cents on the dollar. We'll force appreciation or force value in it by adding another 25% of that value in renovations, right? So easy numbers, we buy a house for $50,000. We'll put $25,000 of repairs into it, get it rented and stabilized. At that point, the house is worth $100,000. We'll go to a local bank. We'll refinance it. They typically give you 75% loan to value, meaning if the appraisal is $100,000, they're going to give you a mortgage for $75,000. And that $75,000, if everything goes right, which it always doesn't, but if it does, will pay for the cost of buying the property, renovating the property. So you can get a cash flowing rental property with little to no money out of your own pocket that already has 25% built in equity to it. It's a great business model.
Yeah, I love it. And the more I dive into it as a real estate investor, I see that value there. When you cash out, and you still own the property, correct?
Correct. Yep. You own
right.
it.
And then do you have positive cash flow on top of that, or is it a break even and you just got your money out?
It really depends, right? So if you do it right, you should be cash flowing. You should have equity in it. Listen, some of these properties you may have to, when you refinance, have to bring $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to the closing table, depending on how the rehab went or how the numbers line out. I've had, this hasn't happened to me, but I've had some friends that have done it that have actually gotten money paid to them, where they've done this with like a 5-family and got paid a $65,000 check because they were $65,000 below the 75% loan to value from the bank. So the bank said, all right, here's $65,000. Great job. I'm building a cash flowing property. Here's $65,000 for reward. So it can go hit or miss, but the reality is, you can either go out and buy rental properties and be putting 20% down of your own cash or 25% of your own cash and then start getting a reward like that. Or if you don't have any money, you can learn, or with little money, you can learn how to find these properties, find these distressed properties, go provide a value to these sellers who need to get out from underneath these properties, take them over, borrow somebody else's money, right? And a private lender, you borrow their money to buy it and renovate it, or like a hard money lender, do all the work, and then you get paid for finding the deal. You get paid for, managing the rehab and refinancing out of it. And again, you may have $100 a month cash flow. You may break even. You may have $1,000 cash flow a month, but you'll always have 25% equity. And here in the Northeast, listen, the properties double in value every 10 years. So, 25% in a short amount of time easily comes to like 40, 50% in just a few years.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. What are banks looking for? I mean, how much experience do you need to have, or are they just looking at the numbers when you go to refi?
If you do it, that's a great question. If you do a commercial bank, a lot of times they are definitely looking at you, right, to make sure that you can perform. So you're going to have to definitely provide some tax returns and stuff, and whether you have a W-2, 1099, I don't think it hurts you so much. They really want to see if the property's performing, especially if it's a 5-family or more, 5 unit or more. When it's, 1 to 4, they look at it a little bit differently. But really, if you use a commercial loan, it's based off the performance. A DSCR, you can do that as well. It's a little bit more money sometimes as far as a percentage rate. But again, debt service coverage ratio, they just want to make sure that does the property, perform and pay for itself. And it does. You can usually get a loan for all that stuff. Because again, you have built in 25% equity. That's what protects them. So if you default, they're just going to take the property, sell it, and get 25% equity out of it.
I love it. I love it. So right now, I mean, if you had to put, percentage of your business, is it coming from single family, coming from multifamily? What do you like? What's your sweet spot?
Yeah, well, so we only, burring is only one of the strategies we do, right? We do wholesale, we do flip, we do wholetailing. So we are a very transactional business. We're doing multiple acquisitions every month, and we have multiple exit strategies every single month out of our markets. Burring is just one aspect of that. Here in the Northeast, the average single family sells for about $400,000 to $450,000. So getting those to cash flow these days are very challenging, to say the
Yeah.
least. So, multifamilies up here in the Northeast are great. But, like down in the Southeast or the Midwest, where you're still seeing houses for single families under $100,000, those are great markets to burr in. If you can be all in for those renovated for, 75 cents on the dollar, bringing in, $1,500 a month cash rent, you can cash flow really well on those.
I love that. I love that. So, how many right now are you keeping in your own portfolio personally? Or are you just trying to build up? Are you more transaction based, or do you keep some for yourself?
Yeah, it's a combination of both, right? So I obviously have a business to run. I got to feed the machine. I have a team to take care of. I got payroll and salaries and all that stuff, right? So, first and foremost, I gotta, keep feeding the machine so I have constant deal flow coming in every single month. So I run my business off of that. If great opportunities come along and we're in a position where, we're not in need of cash flow, or we don't have a lot of projects waiting to close, or whatever the situation is, then I take those properties down. I use private lending. I'm always buying and selling different things, but I don't really keep track of doors. So it's
Okay.
really hard to know. So, but typically I usually have anywhere from 8 to 12 multifamilies or single family rentals going on at certain times. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten rid of some lower performing ones to keep higher performing ones and allocated those resources elsewhere. So keeping the ones that I really want to keep, but I keep buying more burrs, even if they're not the greatest ones, because I know in a year or two I could sell those, get some great equity out of them, and redistribute those towards better performing properties. So always just kind of moving and shaking around.
I love that. I love it. So the two questions I have, and we'll start with the first two questions I have is one, you left the Air Force. How'd you get into the business? And that's
Yeah.
the first question that I have. And then second, how are you sourcing all of these deals to keep
Love
the
it.
machine going?
All right, so the first one's a little long. I'm going to try to give you guys the abbreviated version. So, listen, I was born into this world homeless, and when I was in about 13, 14 years old, my family went through bankruptcy, and we lost everything, and foreclosure, cars repossessed, and everything else. I went into in my teenage years, I was a kid who was going in all the wrong directions, right? And then I somehow found myself lucky in my early 20s, as a high-rise window cleaner in Boston, hanging off skyscrapers. I got a job selling copiers, which kind of led me into the sales position life, which I never did before. I have no high school. I didn't graduate high school. Didn't go to college. Just got a GED. But I found some success in, business to business sales. And then I found myself, in my early 30s, married, I owned my own house, had 2 new cars, had a pool in the backyard, two beautiful young kids. Life was great, making 6 figures a year. I was living what I thought was the dream life, right? The white picket fence. I never ever thought I would ever achieve that success because I came from such a poor background. There's a difference between broke and poor. I've been both more times than I'd like to count.
Right.
So, getting to a point where I was actually making that kind of money was amazing. But in 2008, 2009, the Great Recession happened. I was one of those people that was wiped out during that time. And, we just, our house at that time, we just put on a big addition. We had literally $80,000 of equity And within a year later, a year and a half later, we had $150,000 upside down in equity. I lost my job. I had no high school education. As I mentioned, it wasn't just in a housing crisis then, it was also an employment crisis then. So a lot of people were taking lower paying jobs just to make ends meet, which just really pushed me down that totem pole even further. I couldn't find a job for the life of me. I was upside down. I couldn't afford my mortgage payment. There was no help. The banks were getting bailed out, but the average person wasn't getting bailed out. There was no SBA relief or anything like that back then, no COVID relief. It was just like, hey, you can't make your mortgage payment, we're going to foreclose. During that time, I was learning about real estate investing. I was just starting to get into it. I went to a Donald Trump University weekend seminar. I was learning from Peter Conti. I was doing all this stuff, but I wasn't in a position financially or even mentally to really start going into it. But I knew enough that if I wanted to save myself from bankruptcy and foreclosure, which I was literally on the brink of at 33 years old, that I would need to bring in a real estate investor. And that's what I did. I reached out to a local real estate investor who came out and said, hey, I can work with this mortgage company. They're a pain in the ass, but I have experience with them. But give me a chance. I can get you to short sale your house. I've had a lot of success with them. That will prevent you from foreclosure and bankruptcy, which then at that point allowed me to get the only good job that I could find, which was going from 125 and $130,000 a year at that time to going into the Air Force at $30,000 a year. I had to leave my family for 6 months because my goal was to go in there, get an education so I could come out and I could sell like network security stuff. I thought that was recession proof at the time. I couldn't find a job anywhere else. So I couldn't get into the Air Force if I went through foreclosure and bankruptcy because I was going in for a top secret clearance. And the government says if that happens, they're afraid you're going to sell your government secrets to, Russia and things like that. So needless to say, the real estate investor came in, he short sailed me. I went into the military at 33 years old, just before the age cutoff of 34 years old. I was in there with a bunch of 17-year-old kids in basic training. My nickname was Gramps because I was twice their age.
Right.
But it gave me the reset button in life that I needed. And if it wasn't for that real estate investor at that time, I wouldn't even be talking to you today. So, good things or, good people fall in hard times all the time. I always say we're always one or two life choices away from being in dire straits, or one or two life events outside of our control, right? Something like COVID, a great recession out of our control that just takes it all away, where good people fall in hard times. That's when real estate investors can come in and provide a great solution for that problem where a typical traditional real estate agent may not be able to fill that void. And that's exactly what happened. That's how I got into the Air Force.
Right. And so you had a reset. You were cognizant of what the market was. I mean, it's got to be fairly humbling going in to the Air Force, being a little bit older than your average recruit. But then also you've got officers who are 22, 23, 24, right?
Yeah. Telling me
and you're going,
shirt,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, they're green as can be.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes a little humility helps. Obviously, you took advantage of it.
Yeah.
You were humble enough to go out and realize, hey, I need to do this for my family. You saw some resources, but just think about the opportunity that real estate investor came in and sort of showed you. I mean, guy, were you thinking at that time, if he can do this for me, maybe I can do that for others when I get out?
No, absolutely not. I mean, at that time, I don't even think I was really understood the value that he brought. It wasn't until years later that I understood like how much he really helped me. I was in such, denial. I was in depression. I was in survival mode. I was just trying to get through this to get into the Air Force because I just needed something to do to provide for my family. And at the time, it was like the worst thing that ever happened to me, right? I was like really depressed. I was borderline suicidal. It was bad. But now I look back, I'm like, different perspective. That was like one of the best things that ever happened to me.
100%.
It like made me really grow as a person. Going away for 6 months away from my family really allowed me to build on myself. And when I came out and I said, because I was in the Air National Guard, so I had to do my 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, I still had to come back and I didn't have a job. So I had to struggle a little bit to find a job. Eventually did. I got divorced. Next thing you know, I'm like almost 40 years old and I'm, divorced single dad of 2 kids. And I'm like, shit, what happens if this happens again? What am I going to do? Right. I'm starting to feel like my age. I'm starting to feel vulnerable about the future. Right. As a 20-year-old, you don't think about that stuff, even in your 30s. But as you start to get older, you start to see people not retiring and getting fired and replaced, like, oh my God, please don't let me be another one of those statistics. That's when I took a bold move. I knew I wanted to get into real estate investing again. I came across a wholesaling and Tom Kroll podcast, listened to that guy for a year, traveling around the country as a salesperson, made myself back up to six figures sales job again, but was living paycheck to paycheck, right? And just didn't have anything. So I said, I want to join his coaching program, but I don't have the money to do it. So I basically sold my townhouse because it was the only thing I had. I had $17,000 of equity in the house that I bought 2 years earlier. I moved my kids into a crappy little 2-bedroom apartment in not such a nice area. And we took 11,000 of that $17,000. 5,000 went into the coaching program, 6,000 went into my marketing spend, and that $11,000 started me on my journey January 2017, where we did, got our first deal in 90 days, went on to do 10 deals that first year, $77,000 or $73,000. But as I stand here today talking, Matt, as we're approaching here the end of 2024, I've done over 450 off-market transactions. We've generated over $10 million in gross profits. We've built $3 million markets. We don't have them all, but we've done it all. And none of that would have happened if it wasn't for that real estate investor back in 2010. Wouldn't have been happened if I didn't sell my freaking condo and take a chance on the coaching program. And, sure as hell wouldn't have happened if my new wife, Shelly, wasn't a part of this journey along the way as well.
I love that. I love that. And, we talk about this. You can be interested in real estate and in real estate investing, or you can be committed. And
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you pushed all your chips in, sold your primary residence.
Yep.
They call it, burn the bridge, burn the boat. I mean, you did it. You went all in.
Yeah, I still had my job, but I lost out of my house, and it was, if it didn't work, what I was going to do. I was going to be stuck in a job that I didn't like, and I'd have to somehow find a way to buy another place again, and that wasn't going to happen anytime soon because I just couldn't financially get to myself to that point. And and I was getting older, and yeah, it was all in. It had to work. I'll tell you, it was scary as anything. Super scary. There was so many ups and downs. It was really hard. It's a simple business, but it was hard. If it wasn't for great coaches I had along the way, probably wouldn't have succeeded as well. I always say in this industry, those who survive thrive. It's a business like anything else, where a lot of people will chew you up and spit you out. But if you stay strong, stay disciplined, and just keep moving forward, you'll weather the storms and come out okay on the other end. It's just like anything else in life.
Okay, circling back, did you say this started in 2014 or 2017?
17. Yeah, 17. We started our first marketing campaign in 2017, just about to finish our 8th year.
Okay, so I was going to say, pause right there. It's 2024.
Yeah.
That's 7 years.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd be in a position with all these followers, all these investors, 400? I'm not great at math, but that's
a lot.
That's like 37 deals a year or something.
It's a lot. Yeah, and we only did 10 that first year. Listen, I've had really great luck having great team members along the way, some great acquisition guys, some great coaches. It takes a team to make the dream work. I know that's kind of cliche, but it's totally the truth. I didn't do it all on my own. I could not have achieved it all on my own, but I'm very happy with my success. Did I ever picture, at 48 years old, that I'd be on a podcast talking about what I do, and not only that I've achieved so much success in real estate, and I continue to, and it really, which is my dream, right? I get to wake up all day, every day and talk real estate, live real estate. It was all I ever wanted to do. Problems and all, I'm blessed to have this lifestyle. To be able to pay forward what that investor did to me back in 2009 over 450 times. And now I get to teach people all around the country who get to do the same. So not only do I get to continue to do it in my own home buying businesses, but I get to teach people to do it the same. So I constantly, like, thousands of people are now being paid forward. The one thing that investor did to me back, 15 years ago, which changed my life. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity.
Right. And you acknowledge Shelly. Beautiful woman, nice. Support. I love that you're in partnership with her. She obviously shared this vision with you. And 100%. Now you've got your own podcast. You've got an amazing social media presence. Going back, how are you getting your deals? I mean, do you have a
Yeah.
team out there scouring for you?
So yeah, we have marketing channels, inbound and outbound marketing channels, right? So you have like cold outbound marketing channels like direct mail, right? So you're finding the distress list and you're mailing to them. You can do ringless voicemail. Some people do cold calling, we don't. And then you have incoming marketing channels. You know, we got TV ads, we got pay per click, Google pay per click ads, SEO, right? And we do a combination of that. And marketing is expensive. We spend marketing to go out and find these needles in the haystack, right? These people that have these problems that don't know we exist, and then we go out to meet with them to see if we're the right fit for them. If we are, we put them under contract, and then we, help them out of their situation, and then we take their property and we exit out of it, whether it's a wholesale flip, burr, whatever strategy makes the most sense for us. And we provide them a lot of great value. A lot of times we have the right fit for them, and that's okay too. We'll still provide value. Hey, we think you should go with a realtor. We're not your best option. Maybe you should consider just keeping it as a rental. Do you need any help with contractors? Whatever the case is, as long as you're out there providing value, you're going to win a lot more times than you lose anyway.
Providing value and solving a problem, just like
All the time.
your first investor.
Mhm.
I mean, do you have a team of contractors that you work with, or how do you farm out the improvements, the
Yeah, I
contract?
mean, we sub it out, so, we sometimes have a guy in our team who acts as a GC that manages it, or my wife and I often do as well. So, it really just depends on where we are and what other things we got going on at that time. But we just sub it out. Nothing fancy. We don't have this big operation, big team. We don't flip a ton of houses. Wholetailing is probably more of our bread and butter. And if people don't know what a wholetail is, it's basically what we do is we buy one of these houses, right, that are distressed, and we do little to nothing with them. Maybe just clean it out. Sometimes these are nice houses that just need like some new flooring and new paint. So in and out in like a week or two, and we throw them right back on the market and sell them as is. Sometimes these are houses where people can move into. Sometimes these are houses that need to be renovated greatly by another investor. We do flip some houses, but we don't do a ton of it. It's not really our business model. We're all about the acquisitions, and we're trying to get deals in and out of the office, so to speak, as quickly as possible for as much money as possible.
Right. No, I love that. I love that. I mean, and there's riches and niches. And I love that you've established a niche. I mean, to still do that many 450 deals in 7 years with your first year doing 10. So now we're down to 440 deals in 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, call me crazy, but that's like 70 deals a year.
Yeah, we had a couple of years there, 2020, 21, 22, and even into 23, where we're around 100 deals a year. We had multiple markets. At one point, we were in Western New York, up in Buffalo and Rochester, New York, and we were, spinning out a lot of deals there with our New Hampshire mass market. Then when we closed Western New York and relocated that operation to Florida, was the same thing. We were doing 40 deals down there with 40 deals up here. So we had a few good year runs there, but now it's just we do a little bit down in coastal Florida. We continue to do stuff up here in New Hampshire, Massachusetts. We've kind of scaled back a lot. Sometimes bigger isn't always better. I found that out the hard way. So now we just focus on building out our rental portfolios for long-term gain and making our businesses stronger and providing a great coaching business as well.
I love that. I love that. At the end, I'm going to ask you just some more information. We got about 9 minutes left here. For those who are contemplating getting into this side of the business, what do you suggest? I mean, hire a coach. I mean, what's the best pathway?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I come across biased because I am a coach, right? But well before I became a coach last year, I've always been a big believer in coaches, and I have 3 of them right now. I have a CEO coach, a CFO coach, and a coach for my coach business. Coaching's been huge, and I've been actively seeking coaching since I came into this business. My first initial coaching program taught me how to wholesale my first deal in 90 days, but it didn't really teach me how to rinse and repeat and get better. I had to go find coaching to do that. At one point I learned that I needed to, how do I get private lending and borrow other people's money to make my company better? I had to go out and find somebody for that. Once I started to build a team and I realized, holy shit, I'm running a team with people here. I don't know how to do this. I need to find a coach to teach me how to become a better business owner, right? So I've always believed in that stuff. Coaching isn't cheap. It's expensive, but you're going to pay to learn one way or another. They can either teach you or you can learn from making mistakes, and that's usually a lot more expensive. So I'm very, very pro getting a coach. I think the other thing that people don't understand is there's a lot of misconceptions out there that you can just start coming into this business with no money, and you just, hey, listen, I don't need to spend any money for marketing. I don't need to spend any money for coaching. I'm just gonna just go online, start wheeling and dealing, and I'm gonna make riches, right? That happens as much as people win the Powerball, right? There's always going to be cases of people that are going to have success doing it, but
Right.
majority of the people fail. It takes money to make money. You have to treat it like a regular business. You're not going to just go start a landscaping business or open up a retail store with no money. You don't need a lot of money, but you need some money to start marketing, generating leads. So if you consider that starting this is going to take a small investment, it's great. It's also going to be a really hard business. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs. And if you want to have a quicker road to success, somebody who's going through it, who's done it, is going to definitely speed along your process of success a lot faster than you trying to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know personally. I mean, it was close to 27, 28 years ago. I hired a coach, sort of a life business coach with a lot of experience. I was spending $1,000 a month, and that was, I mean, that's the equivalent of $2,500 a day. I had my best year, sold a business, made a ton of money, and but my challenge then I found out, and my coach said to me, Vance Caesar, great guy in Seal Beach, California, he said, I think our work is done here. And so here I am, 30 years old. I mean, sold a business in today's dollars for over $1 million. And then I'm like, is this it? And what
Yeah,
I
what do you do
realized
now?
looking back is that's when I needed a coach the most.
Yeah.
Is, I received all this success, young age, came from a very modest family. Mom immigrated here from England or Ireland when she was 12. Dad was out on his own when he was 16. They got together. And so this was uncharted territory for me.
Yeah.
So I love the idea. Coaches, I mean, Tiger Woods is the easiest one. He has a putting coach, a
Yep.
driving coach, an iron coach. He's got a financial coach. I mean, I think you should have a coach, a spiritual coach, a relationship coach. I mean, and they don't have to be paid necessarily. These can be mentors that are happy to share their experiences with you. So find someone. I love that idea.
Matt, I couldn't agree with you more. Like my wife and I, we have nutrition coaches, right? So as we're getting closer to our 50s, right, we want to live another 50 years. I need help to identify how do I stay in good physical shape? How do I stay lean? How do I do all this? I pay somebody a monthly fee to help guide me to be better at that. So all
100%.
aspects of my life, personal training, you name it.
All right.
I'm a
So
big believer.
I was gonna go there, but now I gotta go. What's your workout routine? Are you a chest and try, back and by, legs, shoulders, day off? Do you have your body weight and grams of whey isolate protein every day?
So it really depends on where I am in my life. So I just came back off of a year off of I play contact flag football. So I play in a league with a bunch of 20 and 30-year-old kids, and it's contact. We block, and it gets very rough and stuff. I always come home for bruises and struggle to get out of bed for a couple nights in a row while they're off playing the next games, right? Because they're so young. But I
Right.
love it. It's what I do. So, I train a lot for that, a couple days a week. I'm doing a lot of sprints and cone work down at the field. I definitely get into the gym 4 days a week and do, upper body, lower body type of different splits. In my macros is which how my coach teaches me really depends on if I need to gain weight, lose weight for the season, recovery mode, all that stuff. So it ebbs and flows throughout the year. I've been actively working out and have had a lot of different fitness goals since I was 19 years old. If it wasn't for me being fit, I probably wouldn't be the way I am today. It's been a catalyst for my success as well. My wife, she's an ultra runner. She's retired. She may be resuming back at it, but she's placed in a couple 100-mile ultra marathons and
Wow.
50-mile ultra marathons, and she's been training for that over the years. So we're very active. We love to just go out and get it.
I
That's how we
love
roll.
that. And you're modeling fitness for your children, which I love. My
We
dad
are.
modeled that for me. And believe me, I'm a little bit older than you. Like you weren't born when I graduated from high school, but I'm
Well, you
telling
look
you.
great, my friend.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, yeah, fitness changes lives,
It
and
does.
it's the foundation. I know my head's better. Nutrition, you don't realize how important nutrition is. We used to eat all this, now,
Yeah.
I got to watch what I eat, watch
Me
my
too.
intake. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a big part. And if I miss a couple days in the gym, I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
And, I hear that, and, people tell me that about my attitude. All right, we got about 3 minutes left. Hey, want to shout out to a couple of your coaches while we're here?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, one of my biggest coaches that has been the greatest success of my career has been Steve Richards. He's out of Indianapolis, Indiana, the CEO Nation. He's amazing. Chris Noggle, out in Buffalo, New York, the private lending guy and everything, whole life insurance. He's been instrumental in my success. And then Todd Toback and then Dan Toback, who's actually a coach in our coaching program. Those guys are two of the best sales acquisition guys coaching how to talk to sellers in this industry. And I've had the blessing, a privilege of being taught by both of those. So those are the guys that have really been instrumental in my success in my career.
I love that. I love that. Again, I love coaching. I'm a big proponent of it. I think you should have in all aspects of your life. So you have a coaching business. Talk to us. How do we get a hold of you? Tell us about your podcast. Tell about your different Facebook. How do people reach out to you?
All right. I appreciate you asking. So listen, for everybody listening today, if you go to reifreedom.com/top sales, I will give away free our top sales techniques in our industry. And these are things that are going to teach you that to get better at acquiring more properties off market direct to seller. So if you are wholesaling, flipping, buying rentals, you want our top sales techniques that have gotten us 450 deals in 7-8 years. Free. Just go there, download a free PDF. It's yours. Outside of that, we got the REI Freedom Podcast, Real Estate Investing Freedom. We're all about building a life of freedom, however that looks for you through real estate investing. For me and my wife, it's time freedom more than it is financial freedom. And then we have our Facebook group. It's called Off Market Freedom Fighters. I'm in there all the time giving lives. We do master classes in there, providing value anywhere we can. That's a great resource as well. So I appreciate you mentioning all that. Thank you.
No, absolutely. So just tell me the
reifreedom.com/top sales.
Top sales. Okay. And I'll put a little donut on that at the end. Hey, real quick, what's going on with your sports teams up there? We got about a minute left.
I don't watch much sports anymore. I know the Patriots are tanking. I miss Tom Brady. I wish he was still playing. Outside of that, I do my own sports, and I'm just worried. I focus all my attention on my family, my fitness, and my businesses.
I love that. What's the current book or last book you read before we go?
Right now, I'm reading the book No. I wish I could remember the author's name, but he's amazing. It's a new book I just started. I really love it.
Okay. I appreciate you so much. We're going to circle back in a couple months. I hope a lot of you listeners out there go. We're about to cut off here. Thanks again, Jeremy. Just awesome. Say hi to your wife, Shelly, for us.
I will. Thank you.
You know what? Example of, a setback can be a setup for a comeback. You overcame a lot. Congratulations, my brother.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much.
We'll circle up again in a couple months.
Can't wait.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.